It's a pleasure to introduce the Beijing group. They did all the amazing work. And Professor Jiang, who just recently become Dean of Medicine of Medical School of Beijing University, was supposed to be here, but he found out that his meeting he's organizing a congress that starts tomorrow, and with the time change, he couldn't find a plane ticket to make him be here on time. So he sent his full professor and 2 of his colleagues to come and give the lecture. So he's going to do all the work for the Congress until these 3 people from his group return 1 day late for his Congress. So I thank him very much for doing this. It's a pleasure now to introduce Professor Jiang from Professor Jiang's group to present their exciting work on the ability to treat paralyzed limb of paralyzed due to stroke or brain trauma. Please.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Chang. I'd like to introduce some of our work here, although it is not for the substitute of artificial cell, but it is substitute for the peripheral nerve. So we use biodegradable tubes to repair peripheral nerve injury, and we also do some research in the reconstruction. So this is our the artificial material of our group, biodegradable deacetylated cheating tubes. It's very hard for me to pronounce this word. It has a very good histocompatibility and can degrade and absorb and had a very good structural support. We got the patent of China and use this material to repair peripheral nerve injury. So here is our 3 questions. First, we use this tube to repair peripheral nerve injury. And during our work, we found some interesting phenomena in the peripheral nerve regeneration. And also after that, we also do some research for the remodeling of nerve system. First, the biodegradable conduit tubulation for peripheral nerve injury. And peripheral nerve injury is very common during the trauma in extremities. Traditionally, doctors use epineurium and or perineurium suture to repair the nerve injury. Here is the model of peripheral nerve. This is axons and Schwann cells and epineurium, perineurium and epineuriums. But in fact, in most cases, the outcome of patient is not good enough. So the main reason for unsatisfied functional outcome is the misconnection of neural fibers, just as I showed in the last slide. In a peripheral nerve trunk from the axon and the perineurium and epineurium, there are many epineuriums in a nerve trunk. So when we did a suture for injured nerve, the motor fibers in the proximal side may disconnected or misconnected to the sensor fiber in the distal side, so they lead to non-effective regeneration. So we think that the key point for good reconstruction of the peripheral nerve injury should be correct matching the proximal sensor fiber to the distal sensor fiber and the motor fiber to the motor fiber in the distal side. And the peripheral nerve has a characteristic that the sensor fiber can grow automatically to the distal motor sensor nerve, and the motor nerve to the motor nerve, and the sensor nerve to the sensor nerve. So we think that is that possible to use the nerve selection, selective regeneration mechanism to repair the peripheral nerve injury. So then maybe we can give them a small gap and let them go by themselves to find the correct site for the regeneration. So here is our model. We use an artificial tube and give the injured nerve a small gap and let them go by themselves to find the correct direction to the distal side. So we did many animal experiments. We also do the clinic work. Here is our results. We found that if we give a small gap for the peripheral nerve, the fibers in the proximal side can grow and try to find the correct position in the distal side. And also because they can grow more precisely, so the neuroma will be small. This is the traditional suture, and this is our experiment model. And we also did the clinical work after the proof of China FDA. About 100 people was grouped in our work, and we found that it is because we use the tube. We use the tube here. Traditionally, when suture the nerve injury, we maybe at least six knobs should be taken during the operation. But use the tube here, we just suture the peripheral epineurium with the tube and give them a little small gap, so the operation is more easier for doctors, and the operation time is shorter. But the outcome of patients is better than the traditional method. So this is our first work. And during the work, we found another interesting phenomenon. Because use the tube here, we can suture the nerve with different diameters, and like a small nerve to repair a big nerve. And in fact, there are multiple sprouting is a natural process in peripheral nerve regeneration. So we think, can these fibers develop into a mature nerve fiber, and can they use as a donor nerve to repair the nerve injury? And then we did some work. We used different number of proximal nerve to repair the distal stem. Here is 1 to 1 and half to 1 and 1 to 4, 1 to 8. The approximate number is a part of the proximal side was used, axons was used to repair the distal side. And we got the average magnification of a single fiber is about 3. That means one axon may be sprout many sproutings first, and at last only 3 fibers can be measured to repair the distal side. And based on this result, we use one nerve to repair several nerves and use part of a nerve to repair themselves and the other nearby nerves. We found that the one proximal nerve can repair several nerves in the distal side. And also we use a small nerve to repair a big nerve. The recovery of the distal side was also observed. So here comes another question. When a small nerve used to repair a big nerve in the distal side, the terminal organs was changed. So the proximal or the central nerve should be changed for the change of the distal organs. The most famous clinical use of such kind of motor is use healthy C7 nerve root to repair the opposite total bronchial plexus injury. Here is C7 root. In clinical, we sometimes use this, we cut this root in the healthy side and use this root to repair the other side of the total bronchial plexus injury. And after the operation, maybe 1 to 2 years, we can find the patient got a recovery of the injured side. I see one of my patients is about 2 years. We he can abduction the shoulder. So this work is about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, in China, many Chinese doctors do this operation. The most famous is Professor Gu Yingdong in Shanghai. So this also gives the question for us. That is, after the reconnection between the regenerative peripheral nerve and terminal organ, terminal effectors may induce the central nerve remodeling and determine the final functions. So here is the model of the operation. The injured bronchial plexus and the healthy side. And if we use this C7 root, there's almost no influence for the healthy side. It's very, very interesting and amazing. Yeah, cut the C7 and use it to transfer to the injured side. And then we think there should be some remodeling of the central nerve system to the distal nerve system. So we think that the process should be the nerve system will identify and regulate the function of the re-innervated terminal effectors after reconnection of the injured nerve and the effectors. And terminal organs will induce structural and functional removal of the spinal cord and upper center nerve systems for effective innervation. And then we also do some experiment to try to find the evidence how the remodeling happened and the details of the changes in the spinal cord and the brain. Here is our experiment. First, we use some gradient to tracing the distribution of the axon of the neurons in the spinal cord. This is a peripheral tibial nerve and the peroneal nerve. Or maybe here is the F gold and the dial, different tracer. And this is neurons in the spinal cord. You can see here is for the peroneal nerve and the tibial nerve. And then, just as what we did before, we use a tube and we use the peroneal nerve as a donor nerve to repair the distal tibial nerve and the peroneal nerve too. Here is the mode and the tube. We try to observe the change after the reconstruction. And 8 months after the operation, we found here is this is the original positions of 2 different nerves, peroneal nerve and the tibial nerve. And we cut the peroneal nerve and the tibial nerve and use the peroneal nerve to restore the peroneal nerve and the tibial nerve. We found that the tibial nerve can't be tracing. And all the fibers from the distal side, the tracer came into the peroneal nerve positions in the spinal cord. And we also find that the regenerated fibers are separate with different colors, and some double labeled. That means one axon can innervate 2 different terminal organs. So that's what we did. What we done this year. Just a little evidence for the change after the reparation and the reconstruction of the peripheral nerve injury. So now we are trying to find more details about the change after reconstruction. We got the 3-dimension structure of the spinal cord and the distribution of the neurons in the spinal cord. And we also got the neuromuscular junction distribution in the muscles. And we try to use many methods to find the detailed processes during for the system remodeling of peripheral nerve and central nerve. I think it's very hard, and also it's very interesting. So here's our team, and this is Dr. Jiang, I'm not here, but here. So thank you very much for your attention and welcome to Beijing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the talk. The journal Artificial Cell has been rather successful, so the publisher decided to start an annual award for the best paper of the year. So for 2017, the editor-in-chief, myself, plus our editorial associate board, decided that one, they publish a lot of their paper, as you notice, over the year in our journal. Number two, their 2017 review, going over all their research, shows the importance towards people, millions and millions of people around the world with paralysis. So we decided that we should give the annual award, the first annual award, to Professor Jiang's group. And here is the award here. Okay.